Vasudevaya. So we are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47. Text 34, and I was told to read 35 also. So we'll do that very obediently. Yes, 34 is on the screen. Yat tu aham Bhavatina vai yatvaham bhavatina vai yatvaham bhavatina vai dure vate priya drisham dure vate priya drisham dure vate priya drisham manasaha sanikasha Atam Manasaha Sanikashatam Manasaha Sanikashatam Mat Anutyana Kamyaya Mad Anutyana Kamyaya Mad Anutyana Kamyaya Yastvaham Bhavatinam Vai Tudevata Priyotisham Manasa Sanika Shata Mad Anutyana Kamyaya Yastam Bhavatinam Durevate Priyotisham Manasa Sanika Satam Ad Anujana Kamyaya Yastvaham Bhavatinam Durevate Priyotisham Manasa Sanika Satam Tad Anujana Kamyaya Yastvam Bhavatinam Vai Durevate Priyotisham Manasa Sanika Satam Tad Anujana Kamyaya. Any of the ladies? Yastvaham Bhavatinam Vai Durevate priyotisham manasa sanikashatam madhanujanakam yaya. Yat, the fact that, to, however, aham, I, bhavatinam, from your, vai, indeed, dure, far away, varte, am situated, priyaha, who am dear, drisham, to the eyes, manasaha, of the mind, sanikasha, of the attraction, artam, for the sake, mad, upon me, anujjana, for your meditation, kamyaya, out of my desire. So, this is the message given by Krishna to the gopis through Uddhava. And he is saying, but the actual reason why I, the beloved object of your sight, have stayed far away from you is that I wanted to intensify your meditation upon me and thus draw your minds closer to me. Purport, sometimes that which is close to our eyes is far from our heart and mind, and conversely, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Although apparently going far away from the gopis, Lord Krishna was bringing them closer to him on the spiritual platform. Text 35. Yadha dure chare prishte mana obhisha vartate strinam chana tata chetaha sanikushte ksiko chare. When her lover is far away, a woman thinks of him more than when he is present before her. Purport, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the same holds true for men who become more absorbed in thinking of a beloved woman when she is far away than when she is present before his eyes. Hare Krishna. So, these are very confidential topics. We may feel hesitant to discuss, but at the same time, as stated by Shukadeva Goswami in a little earlier in this 10th canto, at the end of the chapters which describe Rasa Leela, there's this verse where he points out that hearing about these pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. This is actually the antidote, the medicine which can counteract the material disease known as lust. Krititum, Rajavadurbir, and so on. I don't know the whole verse, but it's a rather famous verse. So condition is that it should be heard. It should be heard. It should be heard, but I think it's also shouldn't be too loud. Then there will be too much, what they call it, resonance. So there has to be a balance also. It should be heard from the right source, from a self-realized devotee. If we hear from as Prabhupada said, the professional reciters, then it will have actually the opposite effect. The example is given by, I think, Sanatana Goswami. He's speaking about how Krishna Katha is nectar, but if we hear about Krishna from the impersonalists, it will act as poison, just like milk touched by the lips of a serpent becomes poisonous. So yes, this is something that we have to be conscious of. It applies in general to all spiritual topics, and of course especially to these very, very confidential topics. We have to always discriminate who we are hearing from. The sound vibration changes according to the source from which it is derived. So, anyway, I don't know if I'm qualified according to this definition, but I was asked to speak, so I'll try to say something. I just remembered something which I read very recently in this book, which was given as a present to all participants of the ILS meetings in Mayapur. Swamiji, it's a book written by Satyaraj, where he gives voice to Ramananda Prabhu, who relates his experiences with Srila Prabhupada. And there's something very nice here, actually, about this very topic. The context is Prabhupada's passing away, and how devotees, they had to learn Vipralamba Seva, service in separation. But Satyaraj, he comments on this, and he relates it to the experience of the gopis in separation from Krishna. I would just read what is said here. I think you will like it. It's very nice. He writes that even in ordinary love affairs, it is said that absence makes the heart grow fonder. An idea originally articulated by the Roman poet Sextus Propertus. Now you know that. I didn't know I never heard about this Sextus Propertus, but I checked it out, and it turns out that he is considered to be by scholars, historians, as a major poet, actually, in the Western tradition. So he says, as a quote, always toward absent lovers, love's tide stronger flow. Like a tide when the ocean, when the tide comes. So he compares the love that is felt in the absence of the lover is like a tide, like the tide waters. This principle is even more true, Prabhupada had always said, in spiritual life. To help understand the idea of love in separation and why it is so special, several quotes from the Vaishnava Acharyas might be helpful. In Rupa Goswami's Pajavali, verse 240, for example, Radhika says, I prefer separation from Krishna to union, because in union I see Krishna only in one place, whereas in separation I see him everywhere. Commenting on Rupa's Ujjvala Nilamani 120, Jiva Goswami says that the power of an elephant can only be seen when it is chained, using all its strength to break free. Similarly, the power of Radha's love for Krishna can only be fully seen in her separation from him. Prabhupada explains the underlying logic of love in separation as follows. The spontaneous attraction of Sri Krishna for his dearest parts and parcels generates an enthusiasm that obliges Sri Krishna and the gopis, our maidens, to meet together. To celebrate this transcendental enthusiasm, there's need of a sentiment of separation between the lover and beloved. In the condition of material tribulation, no one wants the pangs of separation. But in the transcendental form, the very same separation, being absolute in nature, strengthens the ties of love and enhances the desire of the lover and beloved to meet. The period of separation, evaluated transcendentally, is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feelings of increasing anticipation, because the lover and beloved are both present. Nice, huh? I thought this was a nice commentary to this point. Yeah, so this example, of course, of a woman who is separated from her beloved has also been used by the acharyas to illustrate something which is relevant to us as sadhakas, neophyte devotees, because the injunction is that, as Krishna says, manmana, always think of me. Of course, he also says, bhavamat bhakto, if the become my devotee, because unless we become devotees of Krishna, we cannot think of him always. So, and the example that is given by the acharyas, how we can actually come to the stage where we can at least think of Krishna more and more, even while we are engaged in so many activities, especially if one is householder, one has to see to the maintenance of his family, and one has to, maybe one has a job, and there are so many things to consider. One becomes entangled, and one can easily become overwhelmed and forget about Krishna. For the brahmacharis, it's easier. We don't have, our life is simple, but still, I'm sure we all have had times where we forgot about Krishna. Does it ever happen to any of you? Honestly speaking, at least to me, I think I spend more time in forgetfulness than in remembrance. So, but practice makes perfect. We must practice thinking of Krishna, remembering Krishna. And the example which is given is the example of a woman who has a paramour. She's married, but she's attached to another man other than her husband, which is, of course, a very despicable thing. But the example is given. The reason why this example is used is because such an attachment is very strong, and it is so strong that even while the woman is engaged in her household duties, cleaning and cooking for her husband, but she's always thinking, when can I go and meet my lover? So we can try to discuss this example a little, because what is it that enables the woman to think of her lover? Prabhupada said that even she's always absorbed in thinking about her paramour, but it doesn't mean that she is neglectful in her ordinary duties, because she's very afraid that her husband might find out that she has an illicit affair. Therefore, she's even more careful to do everything very nicely, so he will not become suspicious. So anyway, the point here which I wanted to make is that what is it we should think about this. What is it that enables such a woman to think about her beloved, her paramour, even while doing other things? It's the attachment, it's the attraction, the love, the lust in this case, that is so strong that it overrides all other thoughts. So if we want to learn, if we want to develop, increase our ability to think of Krishna 24 hours a day, which is the goal, then we need to awaken our attraction for Krishna, our love for him. And how that is done? Yeah, it's done here. Hearing, primary thing that will help us reawaken our love for Krishna is by hearing and chanting. So therefore these are the first items in devotional service. We should never be neglectful in this regard. And because simply by hearing about Krishna, by chanting Krishna's holy names, our attraction for Krishna will gradually start to awaken. Then it becomes actually much easier to think of Krishna. I think most of us who have tried to follow the process for some time, we have had, at least at times, some wonderful experiences. Sometimes where we felt the presence of Krishna, where we felt ecstatic, where we our eyes became a little moist. We really, we got this satisfaction which we have been looking for in countless lifetimes, going through the cycle of repeated birth and death in this material world, but we never found Anandam Buddhivardhanam Patipadam Punamritasvadanam, as Lord Chaitanya states, that this chanting of the holy name, it actually gives us the satisfaction that we have already, the happiness that we've always been looking for. And we should remember these experiences. If sometimes we, God forbid it, but we find ourselves forgetting, about Krishna, about the goal of life, and we become a little depressed and discouraged, and we should remind ourselves about, some of these ecstatic experiences. And it will, some ecstatic kirtan that you have been joined, and where you really felt uplifted. It maybe doesn't happen in every kirtan, at every Bhagavatam lecture, but if we do our duty and we join the programs, we chant our rounds, and we try to stay pure by avoiding offenses, we will have nice experiences that we can remember and which will naturally we will even, there may be so many other things that can distract us, but it becomes a very powerful remembrance that actually can surpass all of these distractions. That the material world is full of distractions, but Krishna is more powerful. Krishna can take away our attention from all these things and draw us closer to Him. I just wanted to, I'll just share a few experiences. Things that I like to remember, think back, that was really some wonderful ecstatic experiences in my spiritual life. At one point I started to prepare outfits for my deities, which I have in our little farm in France, where I'm based. Actually, I started before we moved to France, when we were still in Norway, and I gradually got into it. And at one point, I decided that I'm going to make an outfit for my deities from scratch, doing everything, the embroidery and the stitching and everything. I have a natural inclination for this. It's in my blood, you can say. So, I got into it, and I did the whole thing. It took quite a while. It was almost a year, I think, just to prepare one, because a lot of stitching. I wasn't doing jari. Jari is quicker because all the sequins, they fill up the cloth, but this was just stitches, so it took quite a while. It was a lot of work. I enjoyed doing it, and as I said, I have it in the blood, so I could see it's coming out nice. It looks good. It will be nice. It will Gaurahari, they will look beautiful. So I was quite inspired to do it. And but when it was finally, I was ready with that outfit, and I dressed up my deities, and everything was ready. I took one step back, and I looked at the deities, and they were so ecstatic. I really had to grab myself not to just faint. It was so beautiful. I couldn't anticipate that they would be so beautiful. And, it was one of the most ecstatic moments I had in my life. Of course, I didn't stop there because it was too wonderful. I immediately started planning for the next outfit and the next one like that. So there's one little experience I like to remember, and which will sometimes, if I'm feeling a little down and out, it helps me to get myself together and remember Krishna, how beautiful is Krishna, how wonderful is Krishna consciousness. There are many other experiences. Just recently I was alone at home in this little farm in France. Sometimes what happens when there's nobody else around, because we may not have full realization that it is Krishna, he is there on the altar. So we may behave as if nobody is watching us. Anyway, we go through the rituals, but it's really, there's nobody else, so why should I make a big thing out of it, Why should I? It's after all, it's just only the walls I hear. So, but I was thinking, let me make a festival for Krishna. Krishna is here, at least that's what I've been told, so let me try and be ecstatic. Haribo! Make a one-man festival, just me and Krishna. So actually, I got some. It was like one of these, we say, wow experiences. It was. There was a special sweetness there because it's very intimate when it's only you and Krishna. There's nobody else. It's very private. So we generally like, to be with many devotees. The more, the better. And it's certainly a lot easier to be ecstatic when you are with, a whole temple room full of enthusiastic devotees jumping up and down. But it's actually, we can make a virtue out of necessity. If we are not in such a situation, if for some reason or another there are no other devotees, we can take the opportunity to try to learn to appreciate the intimacy of just being with Krishna, just you and Krishna. And it's very ecstatic. It's wonderful. And what is especially wonderful about it is that we can do it anywhere, anytime. We are not dependent on anybody else to have this taste, to have this reciprocation with the Lord. It's nice. It's nice to be self-sufficient. Even Prabhupada, speaking about self-sufficiency, I think it's Gaurahari, in his book, he tells some little incident when he was with Prabhupada in India, and at one time he discovered Prabhupada, he was cleaning his own room. And he was saying, Prabhupada, I can clean your room. Prabhupada said something to the effect, no, it's very good to be self-sufficient. Not be dependent on anybody else, to at least be ready and able to wash your own clothes, clean your own room, like that. In this way one becomes strong. There was one nice sannyasi from Spain, Yadunandan Swami. He's also an academic. He made I think he took a PhD, and his dissertation was on the subject of sannyas in ISKCON. So he was interviewing many sannyasis to write this paper. And one comment saying that many of the sannyasis, they shared with him that what they really found the most difficult is to go somewhere without the association to devotees, and you have to pioneer the preaching in some remote place. And but that's what a preacher has to do. He has to have this ability to, just like Srila Prabhupada. He came to New York, there was nobody else. There was no ISKCON. The Gaudiya Math had disintegrated, but Prabhupada was able to stand on his own feet and be Krishna conscious. And not only that, to make others devotees. And that's actually, if we want to preach, we have to also be able to do that. I was asked also at one point to go to a country where there was no temple. There had been a temple, but had been closed down. And I did it because, well, the devotees were asking me. I thought I should do it. So I went there, actually in Norway, and I also stayed there alone. So I know also, I have some experience. It is hard, but there's a lot of mercy also you can get by doing such an austerity. And anyway, uh, it gives, like I said, it gives a certain feeling of peace, that when you know that, Krishna is always there for you. We in any circumstance, in any place, we can be Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Okay, we end here then. Is it too early?
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Ragana Raghunathan Nitam Rang Kadipam Sadaitam Davatukam Parikaritam